Nigerian political scene is rife with daily intrigues. The Niger Assembly is facing challenges from all fronts as it commences its work, and questions of revenue generation by political parties come to the fore again as parties beg prices for governorship nomination form ahead of elections in Kogi and Bayelsa State. I'm Felicity Ezewike, and this is Plus Politics. Thanks for staying with us. The All Progressive Congress APC, in preparation for the 2019 governorship election in Kogi and Bayelsa states, has fixed 20 million naira as the fee for its governorship nomination and expression of interest forms at 2.5 million naira. This was made known by its National Organizing Secretary, Ima Ibediro. Joining me to discuss this development is John Wesley, a political analyst. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me, Felicity.
What's your reaction to this?
It's annoying. It's annoying. I keep saying this. I said this way back during the Ekiti elections, where we had over 20 people, expressing interest to run for said office of the governor at such a ridiculous amount. And you begin to wonder, just, because you want to carry out primaries, the political party is raking in billions. It's annoying. How do we then get to have the right people in office? It simply means that it's money politics. It's not about the people. But
there are those who says this is not peculiar to the APC. The PDP as it stands, just 2.something million naira difference. There are those who allude to the fact that this is a way to discourage, while it's a revenue generating mechanism, it's also a way to discourage, people that don't seem to have what it takes to come
it's just the truth. You place 22.5 million naira, and I am actually willing to run for the office of the governor, and I look at my bank balance, it's not up to 15 million. So it means I cannot run for office.
What happens if you are the person that really could have made a change for the party in the state and you don't have the financial?
It simply means I don't stand a chance. It simply means that if I have to begin to talk to people who actually believe in me, and some people who just feel that, okay, it's a money-making venture, and someone decides to give me 2 million, this person decides to give me 1 million, and at the end of the day, I'm able to raise 22.5, which doesn't end there. That's just a basic amount. I might be spending about 40 million just for primaries. I have to raise like 50 million from different quarters. Eventually, if I win the primaries, and if I am lucky, I become the governor, it simply means that I am at the mercy of these people who will eventually come with their terms and conditions. I have not done the elections. There are still other people who will still come forward to say, okay, we have to win this election. We'll be spending like 500 million to win this election. How do I get 500 million?
Doesn't this encourage the narrative that godfatherism will continue to thrive if politics is premised on such huge finances?
Rules, laws are made by men and made for men as well. So the truth of the matter is, all we're talking about is a review. It's because it's been designed such a way. And to an extent, we might not just be having all the say to say, why are you doing this? Because we have seen situations where we have those who would actually have changed the narratives, behaving so rascally, and then giving room for some people to say, are this the set of people you want to be in power, and all of that. So the bottom line is this. If you want good governance, as much as, there is no politics without money, but make it easy. Make it easy for the good guys to embrace politics. There are a lot of good guys who will think of, I cannot go spend all this amount of money, and at the end of the day, you still play politics. Just let me tell you now, there are anointed candidates.
Yeah, that was where I was going to go to, because there are some that are also saying that these parties, first up, they're talking about revenue generation.
Yeah.
Others are saying that it's because of the cost of printing and logistics that the party has to undertake as well. But you and I know that there are those who are favored. We'll come to talk about the other issues that is affecting the Kogi state politics as it stands now. But there are other issues to consider. What about those that are favored and those that feel that if I spend this money and I don't get it, I'll kill anybody that stands in my way?
Well, that's what happens. And then when you talk about prints, when you talk about logistics, I want to ask, it's a primary election. You know, as a candidate, I'm running for office, and then I would have my own team. I'm responsible for them. The party is not responsible for them. When it's time for primaries, yes, the party takes care of a few other things.
Yeah, but I'm thinking they're looking at the long term, because the money for definitely the money for buying the forms will not just be to conduct the primaries.
The forms are papers. I mean, they're not special kind of, they're not gold plated. They're not, they're just prints that some persons will just volunteer to do for the party, just to gain an appointment subsequently. So it's not something special. It's just about the shrewd politics, you know, like you don't want people to know what this is all about. This is meant for those who have money. And so even if the guy who doesn't have the money is the anointed candidate, some godfather somewhere who knows that that's the candidate they want goes on to say, don't worry, I'll bankroll you with 50 million. Go and express your interest and eventually pick up the form. We already know you are the person, so you win. So talking about the party and other runnings, we have, you know, take for instance the APC having candidates across a couple of states, the National Assembly, the House of Assemblies and all of that. They all make returns to the party. So what happens eventually? So what are we talking about? I buy a form at so much exorbitant rate, and then I'm in office, maybe about 30% of allocations or whatever goes back to the party. It's to keep the party running. So, but in the first place, why am I buying forms at such rate when at the end of the day, I will still find it so inconvenient for me to run the affairs of my constituency, of the state, you know, reach out to people, fulfill promises, when I have to look backward and see how much I have spent, the loans that are there, the interest, you know, and all of that. All of this is just crazy. So I am of the opinion that it should be, you know, something that even experts will be willing to go into politics. Somebody like Dangote will not go into politics. He's a businessman. He understands the indices of going to drop every amount and all the intricacies in politics and all of that. He will tell you that that's not, it's not making sense business-wise.
Now, while we're looking at the sale of forms, nomination, and all of that, there is this raging controversy. Just a few days ago, a faction of the APC was in Abuja to their secretariat, saying that they want direct primaries. Why the National Working Committee has approved an indirect primary. I watched two men this morning arguing out the merits and the demerits of it. What's your take on that controversy, especially with the number of people? As it stands, I think there are about 40 aspirants, governorship aspirants. Do you think that all of these are, all of them are going to go for the form? And what's your take about this controversy?
Like I said, it happened in Ekiti State. We saw what happened. There were gunshots everywhere, you know. Even some people decided to take bullets for some set of people, you know. So that's by the way. If you want to talk about this direct, indirect primaries, let's come back to Lagos. You know, let's say the litmus test was on Ambode. So direct primaries, people insisted because they knew what they wanted to do. There was somebody that, you know, we have anointed this person. So the Lord has departed this person. Saul is no longer good. You know, it's time for David to be crowned king. You know, so we already know. So it is clear that because some people, you know, the past governor, who is a minister now, I mean, former minister, that's Babatunde Raji Fashola, he said something on the floor of the Senate, It said, may your loyalty never be tested. And so for all of these guys who would not, for one reason or the other, like direct primaries, you know, they don't like it. But because the direct primaries is actually to place, you know, let us see where you stand. It's not about anything. We already know the candidates that these people want. So, but we want to make it just open. So let us see where do you stand? Direct primaries. What Rosie laying? That is, stand behind this person. If you are for this person, stand behind this person. If you are against this person, stand on the other. So everybody who is a member of the party, they know the implications. So they know that either they like that person or not, because there is already a Baba Sokwe or somebody said, you have to just, you know, oblige and then stand behind the person that you are not even supporting.
No, but the worry here is these people that say they want a direct method is for transparency. Let's not forget that there is a pending court case that they worry if they go through the indirect route, it might affect the outcome of, because you don't know which faction is actually the executive of the party in this state. Is it that these people that are looking to go the direct route are those that really believe the party is genuine in picking people and there is no godfatherism in the background? Well,
I do not reside in their thought. I do not know
what's behind their actions.
You know, but I can tell from what we have seen in Lagos in the last primaries before the election. I can tell you categorically that they are playing out a script. So it's not about, you see, let me tell you, option A4, that's what we used to call it, you know. Stand behind, even when we're in the university, when we want to play this kind of politics so that we know where you belong, we would not do secret ballot. It will be open ballot. The candidate or whoever will stand in front. If you are for this candidate, stand behind the candidate. So everybody will see you. So we know that you are against us or you are for us. So even when you are not for us, just because you think of the benefits of crumbs, of contracts and all of that, you just want to queue behind so that they don't get to see you as, you know. It's the same thing that happens, and that's why you see when there is a change, if we're talking about governance and it's about the people, it's about everything, why do we always have a situation whereby when a governor comes on board, just like we had the change 4 years, a governor comes on board, you sweep away every person that worked with
the previous government?
Why? It's about the people. It's not. So it simply means that that's our people. So let us put them there. So even when the person that is actually there is doing it right, you do not think about that. You just feel,
it's your
this
turn.
person campaigned well for me. This is where you will benefit. Well, let us put this person here. So that's what happens. So it's not about the people. It's not about what they will do right or what they will not do right. It's about everybody, what will I get?
Doesn't this, there are loads of young people that would want to be a part of this process, and we know that not they don't have that kind of money to join this kind of politics. Isn't it going to defeat the purpose of the not too young to run act that we now have if young people cannot, you know, come out to contest for governorship? And if they have to, there is always that possibility, like you alluded to earlier, that they will go looking for handouts and then they'll put themselves in a box and will be unable to perform. How do you react?
A good number of the young people, let me say, based on my experience as a candidate in the last election under the party of a Young Democratic Party, I would tell you that I had a series of calls from quarters here and there. And what were they? Just come and, you know, run on the platform, even if you will not get the ticket. But be sure that you will work for us, and when we emerge, there is an appointment waiting for you. So we have all of those kind of young guys, you know, in the party who will do that. They're not going anywhere, they know. They know that somebody will actually get that, but they have to do that. They get known by the leaders of the party, you know, by people around. This person actually ran for office and all of that. So eventually, when it's time to make the list of maybe special advisors and
You're basically saying it's all a strategy.
No, that's just it. I'm telling you. You can take it to the bank, take it anywhere. That's what happens. I know of a young man who contested in Ondo State. And, you know, he was already a young person. He was already getting that support and all of that. And at the end of the day, just 20 million naira. He collected 20 million naira and routed all his supporters, you know.
To another.
Yeah, so and that's just the bottom line. It's not like a good number of young people who, and that's why I was watching here on your TV where Dele Momodu said, where are they running to?
Good question. So
the bottom line is because, you know, somebody like Dele Momodu must have seen some of these young people the way they are and all of that. I was offered money. I ran for office in Ekiti State. I was offered money, but the bottom line is not about the money. If I wanted to collect money, I would have collected money several years ago, not now.
Doesn't this dampen your hope? Because the whole idea is we've been recycling leaders over the years, and then you have a situation like this, you have so much money, and then the politics that go. Will we ever come to a stage when politics is not about the games and the intrigues, but primarily to serve the people and to do some good in your community?
When young people like us continue to hustle and find their way to the National Assembly and the Senate, those things will change. Leave the presidency, leave the governor, whatever, and all of that. The place where these things must change, must happen, is the National Assembly. If we have the likes of Akin Alabi, who is in the National Assembly now, the likes of some other young people who are actually reasonable there, and then a good number of young people, experts, professionals, find their way to that place, these things will change. But if not, we will still be running so very hard. You see all these guys we have all over the place, the money bags and all of them. They know that these guys are not serious. These young people, once you give them money, they're fine. They know. And then they know that Nigerians have what we call the long-suffering spirit. When you make noise now, they give you room. Just watch. They give you room to make all the noise. And then they know that if you make that noise for 2 weeks, at the end of the day, you will rest. They call some people, don't worry, you guys will be all right. And those guys they call will come back to tell you, don't worry, everything is under control, and that's it. So that's the way they have been manipulating young people over time. Go check. From the days of MKO Abiola, we had a whole lot of young people, a few number of them that were not manipulated, probably because MKO Abiola did not emerge. So we had a Jagaban. And, you know, we had some other people, the likes of Dele Momodu, the likes of Kayode Fayemi, all of these guys were with MKO Abiola back then. So they were youths then. While somebody like MKO Abiola, you know, was a Baba and all of that, they were youths. So they did something.
Do you see a change in the narrative anytime soon where politics, again, will not be about who has the most power, but who does the most good? Do you see a time where young people will really count? Because as it seems, from what you're painting a very gloomy picture. There is a few good eggs, but not enough. It doesn't even begin to scratch the surface.
The few good eggs are not coming out because they are of the opinion that they cannot meddle in the Nigerian politics. So they are not coming. So those ones who actually look like a bit good are the ones that the politicians sometimes look at and they say, let us use this person. And then when they are using the person, they tell you, this person must listen to us. So they use the person. I keep saying something about immediate past Governor Akinwumi Ambode. It would have been that kind of a person that we are talking about in Lagos. It's just that his good was not just enough. If he had been the really, really good guy, you know, the move he made would have been a landmark in the history of the Nigerian politics. But unfortunately, it was dead on arrival. So that's just it. So the change in the narrative would happen through reformation. You know, people talked about restructuring and all of that.
Do we even have a definition for restructuring? That's a whole different conversation.
Once our minds are not restructured, once we don't have a reformed mind, you see the youth, a whole lot has happened in the mind of the youth. If the minds of the youth are not reformed, we will not achieve that. See, the way we easily achieve the campaign against rape, somebody in this place and all of that, and some things happen so quick. If we can be like that and strong with a voice committed towards a change in the narrative, it will happen.
All right, before we wrap up this segment, let me quickly talk about Bayelsa State. Okay. That state has seemed relatively calm. All the political drama that's been going on, you won't hear so much coming from Bayelsa. And so far, we haven't gotten a reaction from them about this prize for the governorship candidates. That's for the two major parties. Do you expect any reaction from Bayelsa? It's a PDP
state. It's a PDP state. You see, it's just like a whole lot of people understand how the game is. For states where APC rule, some people make noise. But Bayelsa actually is a PDP state. And for APC, even most times, in most of the elections, you know, APC has never won in Bayelsa. Just check the figures and all of that. You know, so they might come up with something, but they may not be making a whole lot of noise. Like I said, maybe they just feel, instead of all of us jostling for the form of 22.5 million, let us just support one person. Let's see what happens and all of that. However, the governor of that state, in fairness to him, has been fair to his people. So,
thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this evening.
Thank you so much.
Right, we'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll be reviewing the verbal altercation during the proceedings of the Senate committee set up to investigate the alleged assault of a woman by Senator Elisha Abbo. He had that altercation with Senator Tinubu. We'll be right back to stay with us.